every time I do pick up a pair of mitts, it's like I have him watching over me, telling me what to do. It's almost like he's talking to me.
This is Jonathan Aguilar of Pro Boxing Fans, joined by Lekhei Mayweather, son of the great Roger Mayweather. Lehkei, I saw you in the gym today and I was like, that's the guy I've seen on Instagram with Curmel and Jersey. Just talk to us about, obviously in that video you're doing all, the amazing pad work that your dad used to do. Does that just come like second nature to you?
Yeah, most of the time, I grew up watching my dad train, not fight. So, when you watch somebody you look up to do something like that, you're like, oh, I want to do that same thing. So I just, I picked up the pads and I started learning, and eventually I got to a point where I was lucky enough to be doing it every day and do it just like how my dad used to.
So, I was at the fight the other night and Benavidez's son was doing like shadow boxing and he's 3 years old. So was it a similar thing for you, pad work at that young, or how old were you when you first sort of started doing it?
Yeah, so I took my first steps in a boxing gym. So I was born in it. So I was 1-2 years old, I'm watching in the ring. I'd try and do the same things I saw Floyd do. So, I've basically been boxing since I was born.
What is what did you learn from how your dad did pad work, and how similar is it to how you do it with your guys?
The most important thing about that pad work is knowing why you're doing it. It's not, most people don't know why it works, so they just say it doesn't work. And my dad sat me down and explained why he does the things he does, and when I understood it, I was able to bring it from him to me, and now I was passed it down to the people who weren't able to do it with him. So it really is surreal at times. Sometimes I'll see side to side videos and I'm dang, I'm really getting there.
Was it something that you want to do for your dad, and kind of as a tribute to how great he was, and as a trainer, and how he kind of revolutionized the game? Is that the reason, or is it just something you enjoy doing and you're creating your own path?
It's a little bit of both. Every time I do pick up a pair of mitts, it's like I have him watching over me, telling me what to do. It's almost like he's talking to me. But at the same time, I want to be both. I want to be able to be Roger's son, but I also want people to know the name Lekhei Mayweather.
And talk to us about some of the guys you're working with at the moment. Like I said, Curmel and Jersey. Talk to us about them, because Curmel is seen as probably one of, if not the best prospects in US boxing. He's obviously with Floyd and the Mayweather team. So talk to us about those guys.
Curmel is probably the hardest worker you'll see in the gym. He's always in the gym. He's always working hard. He does everything 110%. So it's fun to work with somebody who takes the sport that's serious. And it's always good work when we work. Jersey, same thing, hard worker. You see us doing fast pads on Instagram, but he can punch. Same with John Easter, he can punch. Most of the guys you see who do fast pads, we do it on Instagram because it looks cool. It looks good, but that's not what we're sitting there doing all day. We work on technique, and all those guys are such hard workers, and they dedicate themselves every day to the gym. And when they're in here, it's full focus. You're not focused on things outside of that. But those three are probably some of the hardest workers you'll see.
And obviously Floyd, Floyd and your dad sort of made that Padwork sort of iconic. What do you remember about sort of, you know, being in the gym with Floyd and, you know, how hard he worked? Because, you know, everyone said that he was a crazy hard worker as well.
Yeah, I guess that might be where it comes from. Floyd's probably the hardest worker you'll ever see. You know, a lot of fighters, you know, they'll get to a certain point, like money wise, and they'll sag off, you know, kind of chill back. That was never Floyd. Floyd, you know, he'd come in the gym, and regardless of the money he just made off that fight, he'd work harder than anybody else in the gym. You know, and I grew up seeing it. Curmel grew up seeing it. So you know, when you have that every day, you're looking at it every day, you're bound to pick up some things. And you know, Floyd was the type of person to, you know, he'd spend the night in the strip club and then run home from the strip club. You don't see guys working like that anymore. So,
and you know, on Floyd, you know, we see, you know, all these big fights he's had. You know, these mega money showdowns. Which was, you know, ones that you remember fondly? What was the first one maybe you went to?
Ooh, the first one. I can't tell you the first one I went to. I can tell you two of my favorite ones was the Ricky Hatton fight. It was a great fight. It was, you know, it's interesting at that young hearing everybody hate on your family members, and you know that they'd be so confident through it. You know, because then it shows you like, oh, I can be confident through the hate too. But I remember that fight. I remember everything about that fight. I remember I didn't have a ticket, so my dad let me use his backstage pass, and then they wouldn't let him in. And so we had to get somebody to come let us both in. I remember this, you know, the knockdown with the check left hook. I remember all that. And my second favorite is the Cotto fight. You know, a little later on down the line, where everybody thought Floyd couldn't fight anymore. They knew he could box, but he couldn't fight. And that fight, you know, he showed everybody he can sit down and, you know, really trade with some big punchers. You know, he still has that dog in him. So those are my two favorite ones.
And just going back to yourself, you know, what's the goals over the next, you know, few years, you know, and yeah, just tell us sort of your goals.
My goals is, you know, I got the pads down. Now it's time to really, you know, learn how to coach people. That's kind of what I'm going through right now, is learning the whole coaching aspects. You know, pads, they're important, but they're not the most important thing. You know, so my goals is to eventually, you know, be up there in the corners of some, you know, big fighters that I train.
Brilliant. Well, Lehkei, it's good talking to you today. Just tell everyone where to follow you, and if they want to see those videos, where they can find it.
All right, Lekhei _Mayweather 14 on Instagram. You know, I got more things coming. Always putting out new things.
Actually, just before I finish, back in the gym behind us is famous for those Doghouse rules. It doesn't happen anymore, but you know, what do you remember from that? And yeah, any you can talk about?
Man, I think the crazy one is the one everybody knows. You know, Devin versus Tank. It's crazy. You know, you have that many people in the gym. It's basically almost a fight. You know, you got everybody screaming at you. You got everybody pounding on the ring. You got everybody, you know, giving their opinions and whatnot. And you know, Doghouse used to be crazy.
How many people would be in the gym when these spars would be going on?
Probably upwards of 100. A lot of people. But you know, sometimes there'd be times where, you know, shut the gym down and it's just the two people in their corners. So it really just depends. But most of the time it's, you know, a lot of people, you know, 100, 150 people in the gym. That's something you don't really see anymore. But yeah, back then it was crazy.
And like, would this be happening like right before, say, one of those guys were fighting the week after, 2 weeks after? Would you know, everyone still have to do these rules?
Man, it happened at random times. You know, maybe one day that two fighters walk in and, you know, they were fine a week before, but they got, you know, a little chippy, and, you know, one bumps into the other, and now they're lacing up, going in the Doghouse. It's just, you know, random times.
Brilliant. Well, that's an interesting insight, Lehkei. Thanks for your time, and hopefully we'll catch up again soon.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.